Welcome back to Equalized Sound and Auto Repair. Back with another video for you guys today. Today we're working on a 2008 Subaru WRX, and we're getting ready to replace the rear brakes and rotors. And let's get to it. Alright, not quite sure the inside hardware yet, but when I come back after removing this tire, I'll show you what's happening as far as the parts and everything you're going to need, as far as your wrenches and screwdriver, stuff like that. Be right back. Alright, so we back after you get your wheel off. Same thing as the front, it's a 14 millimeter, so make sure your wrench is right tight, lefty loosey. Got that on. Let's get her on there and start smacking. That one came off pretty easy. See if I can get this light back in for you guys. That's top. Same thing with the bottom. Get her on there. I recommend use a 6-point because these get rusty sometimes and you don't want them to strip. Alright, so after you got those two loose, let's switch over. And like I said, these are 14 millimeters. Switch over to the 14 ratchet. Impact ratchet. Now we got one off. Grab a magnet tray here in a moment. And we got the bottom one off. After you get those two off like that, you'll need a screwdriver or something and some type of brake pad kit to get this piston back. Take your screwdriver, pop her in there a little bit, and just compress her over much as you can. You don't have to do it a lot, you can just do it a little bit, but the more you compress, easier it is to push back as far as you already got a nice gap. All right, so we got those guys out the way. Let's get some more light on the subject because I like people to be able to see. All right, so we got our old pads. See if we can work those out. And they're down to the rotors on the inside. I'll show you that here in a minute. So that's why we have to replace those as well. Let's go in here, pop this out. We got one. And we'll compare pads and everything when we get ready to put everything back together. But you see the damage on the pad, and it is up against the rotor. Okay, after you do that, check your guide pins. These are pretty stiff, so we're going to take these out. This one's cool, but if one's stiffer than the other, your brakes will wear unevenly. So we're going to take this out, clean it up, and yeah, so let's get this caliper bracket off. Feels like a 14 as well. Let's verify. Always verify your parts. Don't guess your sockets and your bolts because you'll end up stripping it out. And if you feel like it's not fitting or you're not close enough, then go up a size or down a size just to check and make sure. And if it fits, great. And that's a good way to verify. And actually, let's move this over here out the way because I thought I was going to be able to use that. And let's just hook it over here. So actually, that'll be all right there behind that shield. All right, so let's get this off. Let's verify what it is. Grab a 14 again. Yeah, so all these front and rear are 14 millimeters, okay? And the backs are usually tighter than the front. Hopefully we don't need a breaker bar, but let's try it. And this is a 6-point, and give them some smacks, and they should break free. Yay, I like this. Some days you don't have this, especially you have to get a breaker bar sometimes. So we got her set. Give her some smacks. You hear that popping and letting you know it's backing up. There we go. Got that guy free. And let's go back up to the top. And let's see if we got a good angle. There we go. And this also applies to the driver's side as well. We're on the passenger side at the moment. And we'll have this out the way in a minute. Not quite sure. Looks like we can bang these off with a hammer. We'll verify that in a minute. It doesn't have a screw in the rotor. It has a couple of holes on there to where you can use something to push it or pry it out with. So we're almost done. All right. Oh, you're gonna be on there. Let's take them all the way out. Let me get a magnet tray so I can feel better about these screws. All right, got a magnet tray, and these bolts are different sizes as far as your caliper and your bracket, so you're not able to mix them up. caliper. That's the bottom of the rotor bracket, and see if this top one is loose enough to take out by hand. Looks like it is. And wiggle it a little bit if you need to, otherwise you can keep spinning it out. But it's pretty loose, so I figured I'd just wiggle it the rest of the way out. There we go. Got that all the way out the way. And that'll be that guy. Alright, so hopefully we can bang this guy out. So if not, then I'm gonna have to jack up the other side. So let me start tapping. Get me a 2 or 4 pound sludge. And if it doesn't come out like I wanted to, we're gonna have to rotate this wheel a little bit, but hopefully we'll get a little movement. Alright, we got that, and let's get some PB Blaster as well, just to loosen up their press. You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to use PB Blaster or WD-40, which would be an equivalent to that, but I usually do to help make it easier come off, because everything gets rusty and gets old through time. It's inevitable. That's why I don't dye my beard, because no matter what, it's gonna come back gray, so no need to dye it. All right, so we got that out the way. Let's get the banging on this guy, see what we get. See if I can find my 2 pound sludge, because this one has too much leverage on me. Or if not, I'm gonna have to get on the ground. Yep, let me get my 2 pound. And we got a pretty nice day today. Some of that old rust up out of there. Alrighty. Let's get some in here in these hooves. A little more around all these. Been on there for a while. Alright, let's keep tapping on this. And I'm probably gonna come in on my shoulder here and whack it. Let's see. Alright, we got one out the way. Let me jack up this other side so we can roll it back a little bit, so we can rotate this. Give me a second. Right back. All right, so we're back. Got this to start rotating. So we're gonna hit and rotate. Rotate some more. Rotate some more. Rotate some more. Hoping she just pops on out for me. Dust going. There we go. Got a little movement. There we go. A little more movement. Come on, baby. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Spin it a little more. A couple more taps. There we go. Alright, so that's how you get the rotors off. Give me 5 minutes and rest these hands. I'll be right back. Alright, so we back on the rotors. And let's match them up. So you always want to match up your stuff. They should mate with each other like they go together. So let's see. All right, let's do a comparison. Get that on video. Looks the same. And you want to match them up, because sometimes the rears are different on others, and these look the same, so we'll proceed. We're going to clean up some of this out the way, some of this rust. Get it out the way. Slide him out the way too, because we don't need it right now. So after that, let's proceed to getting these guys back in. So let me get a better view for this lighting. It's a nice bright sunny day today, and just want you guys to have the best view possible. So let's do it. I think that'll be great right there. All right, let's get these rotors on. And while you're in here, you want to do a good cleanup job, and you want to also check your parking brakes just to make sure they're thick. Make sure you get as much rust off that you can inside here. And after you do that, everything looks good. Get around there pretty good too. Let's see, where's the other brush? And there we go. Let's just wipe it off down in here, get some of that rust off. And you don't have to do this, but I recommend you do, so your rotors will sit better on the back and you don't have any issues, because it is old rusty stuff on there. All right, so now we can get this new rotor on there, and let's make sure everything is great. That's the spinner, goes at the bottom. All right, I'll show you that here in a second. Let's get it lined up. So where's the cranker at? Right there. All right. Okay, let's make sure that's lined up. Yep, that's lined up. Rotor on nice and crispy. All right, now we get some brake parts cleaner to get this grease off after we get these this rotor bracket on. So we're gonna grab the rotor bracket as soon as I can see that guy. And I think we got new clips for the back as well. So let's pop this one off. Let's double check. Yes, we do. You can do this outside, but I like to make sure my rotor's secure first. So we'll do that. Secure this rotor. And where's my other brakes? My other magnet tray. And let me get a seat so I get off this ground now. That way we can proceed. And let's wiggle this till we feel it. And give it a few spins. I usually do the top first, then the bottom because of gravity. That way you can still work and not have to hold it in its place. And you feel it lock in, start spinning her. All right, so we know we got her in. Let me get this brake part cleaner. All right, so we're back. Got the brake parts cleaner. Get this whole rotor. And I'll spin this and hit it as I spin it. All right, there we go. Got that all taken care of. Got our bracket on. Let's get her zoomed on. Got our 14. And let's switch back over to our 6-point. Had to break out both. And let's make sure we're good. Don't tighten one before you do the other one, as it'll offset the calipers sometimes. Caliper bracket. All right, just go until it stops. All right, we're gonna switch back over to our regular ratchet, just so we don't damage that one. And then we're gonna torque her down just enough, and that's it. One. Just enough. All right, so we got those done. Take our screwdriver again, just pop out these clips. Now you can't spin the back like you can do the front for tilting the wheel. So yes, a little more tedious working from the inside. You might have a little bit of a struggle. It might not, it might go smooth for you putting the brakes back in, but sometimes the inside can be a little rough on you. That's because you can't see quite as well. And I also still got to take this guide pin out, so sometimes they seize up a little bit. Usually take a screwdriver like this, put it up against the screw right there at the lip, and just, yeah, this one's kind of seized up a little bit. And just tap on it till it slides all the way out. just like that. And we're gonna clean this off in a little bit. That should be enough. Should be able to spin it around. But yeah, the grease, it gets old and it cakes up like that. So we're gonna clean this off, make it nice and fresh. I'm gonna do that off camera, but we got this set up. We got everything tight. So let me go ahead and clean this up so we can proceed. Well, before I clean this up, since that's one of the last things, let's at least get these clips in before I stop the video for a second. And you always match up your clips with your new, old and new, because sometimes they'll change the design and it won't fit quite well. But always match them up, top, bottom. They look great. Everything looks nice and crispy. So let's proceed. The new one's in, and you want to make sure these are in. Sometimes I usually have to use a screwdriver like that to get them up in there, just to make sure I don't have a struggle when I'm putting my pads in. And it looks like I'm gonna have to tap it a little bit. Let's see. Yep, it's in there, but we want to make sure. Let's get this up in here, great. And there's a little bit of a space on this side and this side. Right, because you'll have some issues putting these back in. The old ones, they'll usually, the pads just slide right in because they're already broken in from the time that they were in there. So, but yeah, stuff that you run into, people like, oh, I just need some brake pads. I just need some brake pads. You might need more than that. So this just comes off, it pops back in. We'll do that here in a minute. After I got to put some grease in there anyway, so let's just sit those with that. All right, got everything back. Let's get this bottom clip in. Slip it back the other way and smash them down in there. All right, got that one in. I had my handle screwdriver, but this one broke on me some weeks ago, so I just use it when I can. It still works as a screwdriver is supposed to. So you want to make sure those go all the way in. These are springs in the back, so they're going to kind of spring. You're going to probably have to rock the caliper. Well, not the caliper, but your pad back a little bit. Right, so let's hit this with some brake grease. I already got it off. That fell out on me. Hit this with some brake grease. Here, just a little bit, not too much. Then after we get everything back on, we'll hit it with some brake parts cleaner. Sometimes you get a little excess somewhere on your pads and stuff. All right, so we got those lubed. Your screamer goes on the inside, and let's match up our pads, just so we didn't do that yet. And make sure they're the same, and they are. Make sure they mate together, and they are. So we'll leave those. And let's see if we can find the screamer. There we go. This one on the inside. So here's gonna land nice and smooth for me. There we go. Got one in. And we'll do the front as well. And just rock it back a little bit and push over like that. Might be a little bit tight. Sometimes it don't go the way you want it to. And yes, it did this time. All right, a little grease on your pads. Keep them from squeaking. After you do that, let's compress this caliper on back. Well, before we even compress the caliper, let's clean this guy up that's caked up. So, swipe him down. And this rubber boot came off, so you want to make sure that stays on there. Okay. All right. Hit it with some brake parts cleaner real quick. Moving everything around. Hopefully all this is on camera right now. Clean it up real good. Anything that's seized up on there. All right, now let's grease this guy. And you want a nice amount on this. Don't have to be over excessive, but you want it to slide nice and easy. And I think it's time for me to get a new bottle of this brake parts cleaner. Brakes grease. So like that, nice and greasy. Let's take our rubber boot and put her on there too, and just pop it on like that. It'll push itself inside. And it's working. Got new grease, and this rubber grommet on it. Might need to tap on it a little bit. There we go. Now we got our bounce back. All right, got our bounce up here. Everything's good. Let's get this caliper back. Flip her on up and over. And we're going to use a C-clamp on this one just because we can. Wasn't planning on doing that, but great. It's a little easier. So, where is she at? Mr. C-clamp. And this is for those who don't have a brake kit. Take your old pad, rest it up in there like that. This is an adjustable C-clamp. And this has a flat top. Let me show you guys that real quick. Okay, so the reason why we're able to do that because this side is flat. So yeah, let's start compressing this back. All right, got our pad. Let's set this C-clamp. Keep moving stuff. I went up under my wheel over here. All right. This should be a good size, and it is. So I'll start spinning her up. Let's get this set again. Back it off a little bit. Set it about right there. And once you get it tight, there we go. Start cranking her. And it should start going back no problem. Like that. If it starts to act like it's not going back, then either you might have a hose that has collapsed or the caliper itself is trying to seize. But you want to go all the way back. Don't cheat and try to put it on. Before you do, you definitely will be taking it back off and still pushing it back. So just go all the way back until this guy stops like that. After it stops, you see how you got a little lip here? That's because this one doesn't go all the way back flush. So flip her back. She's compressed. Got her there. Let's move you guys over here so you can see one more last time. And hopefully that's a good shot. Double check. There we go. Now we got our pads, everything in and lubed. Let's flip our caliper back over. Make sure you flip it back the right way. And just wiggle her on. Just like that. Let's do top and bottom for our caliper screws. At the top. All right, we got her set. And wiggle it till you feel your bottom one lock in too. There we go. And yeah, this is the process to change the rear brakes and rotors on a 2008 Subaru WRX. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm glad you were able to tune in, and I hope this helped you out. And hopefully you have a wonderful day as well. So yeah, this is Chris with Equalize Sound and Auto Repair. Until the next video, stay positive. And that's what it do. And this is it. Finish the job up. CP, and I'm out.